Welcome to a new episode of our Recruitment Podcast. I'm your host, Will.
And I am Lauryn.
Hey, Lauryn's back.
Yeah, I'm back.
You're back? Yeah.
I'm back. It's been a while.
It's 2023.
And how is it 2023? Well, obviously I know how it is.
It comes after 2022.
I know, but it seems like last minute. It was summer, and now it's like
January.
Yeah.
Well, it's all right though. It's quite mild out. I know we had a bit of frost early on in the month, but it seems to be warming up.
It's not too bad at the minute.
Spring is coming.
It's in the air.
I know. I'm waiting for that text from my mother when she goes, "I've seen them. The lambs. They're out. I'm waiting because it will come. It will come." She's very proud of lambs. Is my mum?
Oh,
Yeah.
That's cute.
Police on horseback and lambs.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Yeah, just those two things. Daffodils, spring.
Daffodils, do like daffodils.
Yeah. Anyway, how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Yeah.
Doing well. Here, there, and everywhere. But
You are here, there, and everywhere.
I'm here, there, and everywhere.
Why might that be?
Because I am in a new role from what I was in last time we did one of these.
Yeah.
I've
Same team.
Same team.
Worth remembering. Same desk.
Same
You're
desk,
just
same
not
team.
there at the desk very often.
I'm not. Probably once
'Cause
a
you're
week
out and
if you're
about.
lucky.
Yeah, out and about, exploring and doing and making a difference.
Yes.
So go on. What's your job title?
So I'm the International Pastoral Support Officer for international nurses.
And what do you do?
What do I do? That's a very good question, Will.
I know you know what you do because you're always doing it, but saying it might be something different.
Yeah, putting it into words, what I do is very, not difficult, that's the wrong word. In a nutshell, self-explanatory job title, I provide pastoral support to the nurses. That can be...
It's like Ron Seal, what you do on the tin. That's what it says on the tin you do.
That's what I do. But it can vary sort of day in, day out as to, one day I can be helping them source accommodation, after they move out of our trust accommodation, if they're struggling to sort of find...
You did that actually one evening, didn't you, a couple of weeks ago? You went on a visit with a landlord and one of the international nurses and kind of, I don't want to say mediate, but you kind of are.
Yeah, support them.
Yeah. Support
them with it. Obviously, they've upped and moved countries. They come on their own. It's an entirely new country, new culture, and it's scary for them because we're asking them to move into their own rented accommodation within 10 to 12 weeks of them being here. Yeah. That's not a lot of time. If you think, where we were at 12 weeks ago.
It's not, and especially considering, the way that the housing market is at the moment. And there's so much, talk about rental properties and landlords and what's going on in that sector. So, I understand where you're coming from saying that.
Yeah, and especially in the areas around our hospitals, they're so competitive that, we've got to really act quickly to see a house that you want. You've got to
absolutely
act on it.
Even where the international nurses live in Preston, there's obviously Preston. There's areas in Preston where there's a lot of rental properties, and you can get rental properties, and obviously be within walking distance of, if not the hospital, then definitely a bus route that will get you
to where you need to be.
Absolutely, and especially on the north side of Preston, it's not. You could be living somewhere where you don't necessarily have to go into Preston to come out again. You can get across by walking 10-15 minutes in one direction to the A6 or, and then you're there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's it does work from that perspective, I suppose. Chorley might be slightly different.
Yeah.
Is that what you're finding?
So the nurse that I was supporting, we were in Chorley looking at them, and sort of, especially with the cost of living and everything going up at the minute, it's the ones that are sort of in budget tend to be further away from the hospital, and it's that's a bit more difficult, especially down in Chorley. It's not as well connected as what Preston can be.
Mm. So are you enjoying the role? That's the big question.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
And do you feel now, I mean, I'm not even giving this podcast a title, not even introduced it, we just started talking. So for all listeners, we've been wanting to do this episode for a while.
Yeah.
And discuss our international programme and give a bit of insight into what we do with international nurses.
Yes.
Which fits in really well, obviously, with your new job role. And I've got hands-on experience as well in helping the international nurses settle in and...
Chief tour guide.
Well, yeah, I have waved an umbrella about once or twice. And taken charge of the tours and shown them not just Preston, as in the hospital, but also Preston City Centre and our region, and kind of given them a whirlwind tour of the centre and the shops, and gone, this is the post office, here's your bank, these are the shops that you might be interested in, bus station, train station, yeah, all of that. It's fun. Anyway, so yeah, we are this week, Lauryn, discussing
international recruitment. My favourite subject.
It's a good subject.
It's a really good subject.
Do you feel part of something when you're doing it?
Absolutely. Like, I don't know, there's no like word to describe the feeling. It's just like, I sit there at night and I think, actually what we do is pretty cool.
You make a big difference to people. Like you said, you alluded to it earlier about people coming halfway across the world. It's a big... No, I don't think many people could, and I think a lot of people, you say that, I don't think many people could. I think people say, oh, well, you know...
Yeah.
You hear of friends and people, going to Australia, but culturally, there's a lot more similarities there
than there is.
Say between Nigeria or India coming to the UK, language barriers,
it's a massive...
culture and customs, and yeah, it is a big thing.
Yeah.
And you're helping that.
I know. It's cool.
It is cool. It is really cool. So you've alluded to the tours and the helping people settle in. What else are you doing in your pastoral role? What other work are you doing? Because obviously, what I'm getting at is you have got a desk, but you're not there very often.
I'm not. Most of my week is spent actually out at the hospitals. Obviously Preston and Chorley. Sometimes I'm doing focus groups, so I'll be set up in the education centres, and I run them sort of like drop-in style, because obviously some of the nurses are out on shifts. It's you sort of can't expect them to come for a block of an hour, 2 hours at a time. That's just for us as a trust to get feedback from them, so how they've found their sort of induction, their onboarding.
Right.
Get some feedback from them. What we're doing well as a trust, but we know we're not perfect.
Also want to know what's not and what we can improve.
What can we do? How can we go even further?
That's great. I didn't realise that. So that you're creating a feedback loop.
Yeah.
Where you can feed it back in and learn more about what's happening, about the experience, and helping them further and helping the next cohort.
The future cohorts.
Yeah.
And better their experience.
Brilliant.
When they come on board.
Excellent. That's really good.
Yeah.
So, obviously last year we've had quite a few in terms of...
We have.
That's putting it mildly.
I was going to say, that's very... I don't know what the word is, but...
Restrained or underestimated? No, I don't know.
Not underestimated.
No, I just played it down maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've had a lot. And we're having considerably fewer.
This year.
Yes.
Yeah, business as usual.
Business as usual.
Business as usual.
How's that going?
Really well. We've got had our first midwife arrive.
Midwife?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Last week? No, week before last week. I went and met her when she arrived up from Crewe in Preston. did one of your little tours.
That's not international though, is it? Hang on, from Crewe. Where's she come?
No, she's come internationally, but she did like a 6-week stint in Crewe,
Okay.
and has then come up to us.
So she is.
Yeah,
I was about to say, because the way you said that, then we've rescued her from Crewe. No,
I'm good at geography.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So she's international.
Yeah.
But being in Crewe for a short period of time and then come up. Okay.
Yeah. So she started last week on her ward in maternity. And then I think our next sort of bigger cohort is March. And that's going to be sort of in my new role, my first sort of big cohort coming in that's going to have, I don't know what the words are that I'm looking for. Like, I'm going to be there from the start with them.
Whereas before
I'm sort of working retrospectively.
Our colleague Michelle, who's fantastic and did a great job.
Yes, Michelle.
Yeah, and since she's changed jobs in the trust. Yeah, I know what you mean. So you're going to feel like this is your cohort because it's the start of, you're going to be there from the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, whereas at the moment also I'm working retrospectively with cohorts that have arrived when I was in my previous role.
Absolutely. So, how do you see the role developing? How do you see the next 12 months? I mean, it's a lovely thing to do. It's a big thing to do.
Massive.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the word?
You're not doing well with words, are you?
I'm not. It's Monday Will.
Yeah. I can sense your enthusiasm.
No, I'm very enthusiastic about it, and I know what I want the role to achieve.
Yeah.
And for me, sort of my primary focus, especially these first 12 months, is to start building a bit more of a community feel with the internationally recruited nurses.
Yeah.
And taking that sort of a little bit outside of the workplace.
Yeah.
Because obviously they'll work alongside each other on the wards, sort of 3-4 per ward. But it's getting that sort of social element outside of work, and we've got a real sort of international community in Preston with these nurses and the amount we've brought over. I think sort of one of my priorities is to get that sort of community together, and just a bit like I said earlier, they've come over on their own. Some of them haven't brought families over just yet.
So integrating them into our pre-existing community and also helping integrate further in other ways, and wow.
That's one of my sort of primary targets for the year.
How are you finding, because obviously, priority is the nurses and we have them, but a lot of our nurses also have families.
They do.
So how are you finding that element? Because of course there is, you don't want to pry, but you're also there to help.
Yeah.
Because it's a full package.
It is.
You're an ear. How are you finding it dealing with families?
In all honesty, I love every aspect of the role that I'm doing, and for me it's the families of the nurses' family, and it's like there are nurses that
they're an extended family.
Yeah. And I've sort of been approached with issues about schooling, getting into schools, that sort of thing, and for me it's part of like the nurse, and like without that help they're not going to be able to work for us. So
totally, and I think that's kind of why I bring it up to discuss it, is that there's a lot of things here that it's easy to forget, and especially when you bring children into the mix and young people and families, and you suddenly think, well, I've got 3 kids, all of school age. Can they be in the same school? Are they having to go to different schools? Can the schools accommodate them? And you're right, happy nurses, happy family,
Yeah.
It's a big thing, and I think there's on the face of it, it's all good saying we've got X amount of nurses coming over, but then at the same time, there needs to be help, which obviously is coming from your role.
Yeah.
But with the other things as well, we can't just bring nurses over and leave them.
Yeah.
So go on then, crack on.
Yeah.
Here's a couple of phone numbers.
Yeah, and what we really want to do is, the numbers we brought over is great for us as a trust, but we want to keep those numbers. We don't want them to sort of, go elsewhere, go home, we want to keep them right here where they are, in our little Lancashire Teaching Hospitals family.
Yeah. Yeah. In Preston.
In Preston, and Chorley.
And Chorley.
And
Yeah.
Chorley.
Living in the area around. Yeah.
And getting that real community coming together.
Excellent. Have you got any events planned? Have you got any ideas for events? I know you spoke to me about a couple of things, but do you want to share with the listeners what?
So we've got a couple of things in the pipeline. We're looking at doing an ambassadors forum for our international nurses.
Uh-huh.
So working quite closely with Tim Brown from the Equality and Diversity team, about pulling together sort of a forum for the nurses to come together, share their experiences sort of more within the workplace. But then we're also doing something really quite exciting, which I'm obviously very passionate about, like my little hurricane moment.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, obviously we're not the only trust in this area, and we have other international nurses around Preston and Chorley that are part of Lancashire and South Cumbria Trust. And so I've got together with their international recruitment team and sort of said, I feel like we're missing a bit of the trick here. We've both got nurses working in the same hospitals, living in the same area, but they're not integrating. Wouldn't it be great if we can get them integrated together somehow in the community and a bit more sort of social? So that's currently in the pipeline, being sort of discussed logistics around how do we organise that.
What does it
look like?
Yeah.
So we're hoping to get our first sort of event together with that for probably around April, May time. But obviously that'll be hopefully all over, the trust and social media, looking at you like you're going to put that for me.
Yeah.
Then also we've got International Nurses Day in May.
Yeah.
And obviously, as part of my role, I want to celebrate our international nurses in that, and give a little bit back to them for what they've given to us.
Now, I've got two more questions really.
Okay.
Depending on your answer, I might end up with two more as well. But firstly, what if someone's listening to this now and wants to be involved? If someone says, I've got a great community group, I want to do this, or how does that happen? Who do they contact?
Me.
Yeah.
You can contact me. I'm sure you'll put on the little screen.
Put the details.
Okay. Or I don't know. How else would you?
Magic.
Okay,
I can solve
brain
that.
power.
Okay. Yes. Bit of telepathy.
Yeah, bit of telepathy.
But telepathy must only work if your person's telepathic.
Don't confuse my brain, Will. It doesn't take a lot.
So I use some telepathy then. How are we going to sign off this episode?
Thank you and good night. Sounds like a little news.
That's a bit glamorous. Yeah.
Ciao for now.
Ciao for now.
Ciao for now.
Okay.
See you later.
See you later for the next episode.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Adios.